My parents gave my college fund to my brother's wedding, so I worked 3 jobs, became a doctor, and now they're asking me to pay for his divorce. Before we move forward, please show some love by subscribing and share your location in the comments. I love seeing where our family is watching from. I was 17 when my parents sat me down at our kitchen table in Southside Chicago, their faces carrying that look, the one that said my life was about to change. Mama twisted her wedding ring, something she only did when nervous. Daddy cleared his throat 3 times before speaking. Lucinda, baby, we need to talk about your college fund. My heart stopped. That fund represented 13 years of birthdays, Christmases, and summers spent watching my friends vacation while I stayed home. $63,000. My escape route from this neighborhood, from struggle, from everything holding me back. What about it? I asked, though I already felt the ground shifting beneath me. Daddy looked at Mama. She looked at the floor. Your brother's getting married, she finally said. Doreen's pregnant and Joel wants to do right by her. They need a real wedding, baby. Something beautiful. The words hung there like smoke. And I whispered, we're giving him your college fund, Daddy said quickly, like ripping off a bandage. For the wedding and to help them get started. You're smart, Lucinda. You'll get scholarships. Joel needs this now. I sat frozen, watching my future dissolve. My 4.2 GPA, my acceptance letter to Northwestern sitting upstairs, my carefully constructed plans, all worthless. Joel was 25, had dropped out of community college twice, and spent most days on his boy JT's couch playing video games. And they were handing him my life. That's my money, I said, my voice barely working. It's family money, Mama corrected. And family helps family. That was the moment I learned what I was worth to them. Less than a party for my brother's mistake. Joel had always been their prince. When he was arrested at 19 for possession, Daddy called it, just weed, everybody does it. When I stayed out 15 minutes past curfew to finish a debate tournament, I was grounded for a month. The pattern was set before I could walk. I remember being 8 years old, watching Mama fawn over Joel's C+ in English like he'd won a Nobel Prize, while my straight-A report card got a nod and, that's expected from you, baby. Doreen entered the picture 6 months before the announcement. She was pretty in that way that made boys stupid. Long weave, dramatic lashes, and a laugh that carried across rooms. She worked at the mall, managing a clothing store, but her real talent was managing Joel. Within 3 weeks of meeting her, he'd proposed with a ring he'd put on layaway. Mama cried happy tears. I'd wondered who was paying that layaway. Now I knew. They'd been planning this for months. You don't understand what it's like for young black men, Daddy had told me when I tried to protest. Joel needs support, not judgment. You've always had it easy. School comes natural to you. He's had to fight for everything. Fight for what? I wanted to scream. I fought for every grade while working part-time at Mrs. Rivera's corner store. I fought through racist teachers who assumed I'd fail. I fought through watching my parents celebrate Joel's mediocrity while treating my excellence like an obligation. But I said nothing. Good girls don't make scenes. That night I lay in bed calculating. Northwestern's tuition was $56,000 yearly. Without the fund, even with my partial academic scholarship, I'd need $35,000 annually. I had $2,400 in savings from my store job. The math was impossible. The math was suffocating. The wedding planning consumed our house like a fever. Doreen was there constantly, spreading magazines across the dining room table where I used to do homework, squealing about centerpieces and color schemes. Lucinda, she'd call out like we were friends. What do you think? Blush pink or champagne gold? I think it's expensive, I'd mutter, but nobody heard me. They were too busy discussing the $8,000 venue, the $3,000 dress, The $2,500 catering package. I did the math obsessively. Every expense was a semester I couldn't afford, a dream getting smaller. You seem upset, Joel said one evening, cornering me by the stairs. His cologne was too strong, cologne Mama had probably bought him. This is supposed to be a happy time. Happy. I looked at him, really looked at him. At 25 he still had that boyish face that got him out of trouble. You're spending my college fund on a party, Joel? A single day. His jaw tightened. You're really gonna be like this? Selfish. I'm selfish. The words exploded out. I've worked since I was 14. I've never asked them for anything extra. That fund was mine, they started it when I was born. For me. And family shares, he shot back. Or did all that book learning make you forget where you come from? We take care of each other. Besides, Doreen's carrying my baby. Your niece or nephew. That matters more than some school. Northwestern isn't some school, I said, but he was already walking away. Later, I heard him telling Mama I'd called his baby a mistake. I hadn't, but the lie stuck. At dinner, Daddy gave me a look that could freeze water. You apologized to your brother. For what? For being cruel about his child. About his family. The disappointment in his voice cracked something in me. Grandma Pearl showed up unannounced 2 weeks before the wedding. She was Daddy's mother, a woman who'd worked 3 jobs raising 5 kids after Grandpa died young. She took one look at the chaos. Doreen crying about napkin colors, Mama on the phone arguing with the florist, Joel sprawled on the couch, and her face went stone cold. Where's Lucinda? Her voice cut through the noise. When I came downstairs, she gripped my shoulders. Pack a bag. You're staying with me for a few days. At her small apartment in Bronzeville, she made tea and let me cry for an hour before speaking. Your daddy called me last week bragging about this wedding. Said it was costing 60 grand. I said, Jerome, that's Lucinda's college money. You know what he told me? I shook my head, afraid to hear it. He said, Mama, she'll be fine. Smart girls always land on their feet. Joel needs us more. Like your intelligence was a burden that meant you deserved less. She sipped her tea, angry. I raised your daddy better than this. Or I thought I did. What do I do, Grandma? Northwestern starts in 3 months. I can't afford it. I can't afford anywhere. She studied me with those sharp eyes that missed nothing. Baby, sometimes family will bleed you dry if you let them. Sometimes the people who should love you most will sacrifice you for the ones who scream loudest. Your brother learned early that failure gets rewarded in that house. You learned that excellence gets taken for granted. So I just give up? No. She leaned forward. You show them what you're made of. You go to school somehow even if it kills you. And when they come crawling back, because they will, you remember this moment. The wedding was everything they'd promised. Elegant, expensive, excessive. I stood in my bridesmaid dress, a $300 emerald gown I'd paid for myself, watching my college fund become centerpieces and champagne. During the toasts, Daddy talked about how proud he was of Joel, stepping up to be a man. Mama cried about her baby boy starting a family. Nobody mentioned me. I was scenery. At the reception, Doreen's mother, Mrs. Patricia, pulled me aside. She was drunk on the open bar, another $2,000, and feeling honest. You know, my daughter's smart. She knew exactly what she was doing getting pregnant. Locked that boy down and got his family to pay for everything. She laughed. No offense, sweetheart, but your parents are suckers. The words hit like ice water. I watched Doreen across the room laughing with her bridesmaids, one hand on her their belly. She caught my eye and smiled, a smile that knew exactly what she'd taken from me. That's when I understood. This wasn't just about Joel needing help. This was calculated. Doreen had sized up my family, found the weakness and exploited it. And my parents had helped her do it. During the bouquet toss, Mama pushed me forward. "Your turn's coming, baby." The bouquet hit my chest and fell to the floor. I didn't pick it up. I walked out of that venue, called Mrs. Rivera, and asked if she needed someone to work overnight shifts. He said yes. I started that night, still in my bridesmaid dress, ringing up lottery tickets and cigarettes. That was June 14th. The day I stopped being their daughter and started being my own salvation. I worked 3 jobs that summer. Mrs. Rivera's overnight shifts, Monday through Thursday, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Weekend days at a daycare center in Hyde Park, $12 an hour, watching kids whose parents could afford Northwestern without blinking. Friday and Saturday nights waitressing at Marcello's, an Italian place where I smiled through entitled customers and occasional racism for tip money. I slept 4 hours daily if I was lucky. I lost 15 pounds. My eyes developed permanent dark circles. Northwestern's financial aid office became my second home. I appealed their decision 3 times, armed with my story. A sympathetic counselor named Ms. Rodriguez, a first-generation college student herself, helped me find every grant, every scholarship, every opportunity. By August, we'd scraped together enough for freshman year. Tuition mostly covered, living expenses on me. I'd be broke and exhausted, but I'd be there. My parents barely noticed my absence. When I came home to sleep, Joel and Doreen had moved into my room. It was bigger than his, they explained. My stuff was crammed into the basement. "You're going away anyway," Mama said when I protested. "They need space for the baby." The baby arrived early mid-August. A girl they named Heaven. She was beautiful and innocent, and I refused to resent her for what her parents had done. When I held her in the hospital, Joel actually thanked me. "For understanding," he said. "Family's everything." I handed Heaven back. "I'm leaving for school next week. I'll be too busy to visit much." "That's cold," Doreen said from her hospital bed. "She's your niece." "And Northwestern is my future," I replied. "The future you tried to steal, I didn't add." The night before I left, Grandma Pearl gave me $500 cash. Emergency money. Hide it from everyone. She hugged me tight. "Make them regret underestimating you." I intended to. Northwestern was another planet. My roommate, Jessica, was a blonde from Connecticut whose family owned a pharmaceutical company. She had a car, a credit card with no limit, and casual assumptions about spring breaks in Europe. We got along fine. She was kind in that oblivious way rich people sometimes are. But every interaction reminded me I didn't belong. While she slept, I worked. The university let me keep a campus library job, overnight security desk for nights weekly. I studied during shifts, lived on ramen and free food from campus events, and watched my classmates stress about midterms while I stressed about making rent for my shared off-campus apartment. I'd moved out sophomore year. Dorms were too expensive. My biology professor, Dr. Reed, a woman who'd fought similar battles, took me under her wing. "You have the hunger," she told me after I aced her notoriously difficult exam. "Not for grades, for escape. I recognize it." She recommended me for paid research positions, helped me network, became the mentor my parents should have been. I went home for Thanksgiving freshman year. Once, Mama spent dinner talking about Heaven's first words, Joel's new job at a warehouse, which he'd quit by Christmas, and Doreen's plans to become a social media influencer. When I mentioned making Dean's List, Daddy nodded absently. "That's good, baby." "It's exceptional," I corrected. "Only 15% of students manage it first semester." "Well, you always were smart," Mama said, already looking back at Heaven. That was the moment I accepted it. I could cure cancer and they'd still be more impressed by Joel showing up on time. So I stopped going home. Started spending holidays with Grandma Pearl or in the library. They barely noticed. By junior year I declared pre-med. Dr. Reed had inspired me, but really I wanted the one thing Joel could never take. A career where my name meant something, where my excellence couldn't be dismissed. Medical school applications cost money. $170 per school, 15 schools minimum for safe odds. I saved for 6 months, skipping meals, walking everywhere, mending clothes until they fell apart. The day I submitted my applications, I allowed myself one moment of pride. Then I went back to work. Joel called that same night, his voice tight. "Yo, Lucinda, I need a favor." I almost laughed. We hadn't spoken in 8 months. "What kind of favor?" "Money. Just like $500. The car broke down and I need it for work. I'll pay you back next month, I swear." "No." Silence. "Then, what do you mean, no?" "I'm your brother. The brother who took my college fund and hasn't spoken to me since? That brother." My voice was ice. "I don't have $500. I work 3 jobs to eat ramen. Ask Mom and Dad. They're tapped out. The baby's expensive, man. Formula, diapers, all that. You're in school, you got loans and stuff." "Loans I'm drowning in because you took my fund. Good night, Joel." I hung up. He called back 7 times. I blocked him. Mama called the next day. "Lucinda Monique Simpson, you will not disrespect your brother like that. He asked for help and you—" "No," I interrupted. "You don't get to do this. You gave him my entire future for a party. You chose him then. Don't ask me to choose him now. That's family money and it went to family. You're being selfish." "Selfish?" I worked myself to break down so I could have what you promised me. What you took away. Joel is 27 years old. If he can't fix his own car, that's his problem, not mine. We raised you better than this," she said coldly. "No," I said. "You raised Joel to expect everything. You raised me to accept nothing. I'm done accepting it." I hung up, cried for an hour, then studied for my MC. The letter came on a Tuesday in March. Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Full acceptance. I sat on my apartment floor staring at it, shaking. Johns Hopkins. One of the best medical programs in the world. I'd done it. Despite everything, I'd done it. Dr. Reed cried when I told her. Grandma Pearl screamed so loud her neighbors checked on her. Jessica took me out for a celebration dinner I couldn't really afford but pretended I could. For one perfect week I let myself feel victorious. Then Doreen posted on Facebook, "So blessed. Baby number 2 on the way. Heaven's going to be a big sister." I stared at the announcement, at the comments from my parents. So excited. "Our family is growing," at Joel's reply, "My queens." They'd learned nothing. Joel still worked part-time. They'd moved into a bigger apartment they couldn't afford, and now another baby. The pattern was repeating, and I knew, absolutely knew, they'd come to me for money eventually. I called Grandma Pearl. "They're going to ask me to help them, aren't they?" "Probably," she agreed. "Your brother's a fool and your parents enabled him into it. But baby, you're not responsible for their choices. You remember that." I didn't tell my parents about Johns Hopkins. Didn't post it, didn't announce it. Let them find out from Grandma if they cared enough to ask. They didn't. Not for 3 months, until Doreen's mother mentioned it at a family cookout. Mama called that evening, hurt in her voice. "Pearl says you got into medical school? Johns Hopkins." "Yeah. I start in August. Why didn't you tell us?" "That's wonderful, baby. We're so proud." "Are you?" I asked quietly. "You didn't ask about my applications. Didn't ask about my MCAT score, which was 520, by the way, 98th percentile. You haven't asked about my life in 3 years unless you needed something. That's not fair, Lucinda." What's not fair is stealing my college fund. What's not fair is making Joel's failures my problem. What's not fair is punishing me for succeeding while rewarding him for barely trying. Johns Hopkins consumed me beautifully. The workload was crushing, the competition fierce, but I was built for this. Years of exhaustion had prepared me for 80-hour weeks. While classmates complained about stress, I thrived. This was freedom. Every surgery I observed, every diagnosis I learned, every patient I helped was proof I'd escaped. Dr. Lowe, my anatomy professor, called me a natural. You have hands that understand bodies, she said. I specialized in emergency medicine. Fast-paced, high-stakes, immediate impact. No time for doubt. I still worked part-time, the debt was real, but less frantically. I could sleep 5 hours some nights. Eat real meals occasionally. I even dated briefly, a surgical resident named David who was kind and stable and everything my family wasn't. It didn't work out, medical school relationships rarely do, but it taught me I could be wanted for who I was, not what I could provide. My parents' calls became transactional. Lucinda, Joel needs help with his electric bill. Lucinda, can you send money for Heaven's birthday? Lucinda, just $200 for groceries. I said no every time. They called me cruel. I called it boundaries. Grandma Pearl called it overdue. Joel's second daughter, Nevaeh, Heaven spelled backward because of course, arrived during my second year. I sent a card. No money, no visit. Doreen posted passive-aggressive messages. Some people forget where they come from. Family should support family. I blocked her too. Then third year, during my emergency medicine rotation, a patient came in from a domestic disturbance. Broken arm, bruised face, terrified eyes. Her husband was successful, respected, charming. Also abusive. She had no money, no support, nowhere to go. I helped connect her with resources, a shelter, legal aid. 2 months later she sent me a letter. She'd left him, started over, was rebuilding. That letter reminded me why I'd fought so hard. To help people. To be someone's lifeline when their family failed them. Because I knew how that felt. I was in my 4th year interviewing for residencies, when Joel called from an unknown number at 2 a.m. I almost didn't answer. Lucinda. His voice was wrecked. I need help. Please. It's bad. Despite everything, the fear in his voice triggered something. What happened? Are the girls okay? They're fine. They're with Mom. Doreen's leaving me. She filed for divorce. She wants the apartment, child support, everything. I can't afford a lawyer. Mom and Dad already gave me what they could. I'm gonna lose my daughters. I should have felt satisfaction. Dad, I felt tired. Why are you calling me? Because you're my sister. Because I'm desperate. I know I messed up, okay? I know I took your money and I was wrong. But I'm drowning here and you're the only one who can help. Please. How much? The retainer's $5,000. I can pay you back, I swear. Joel, you've never paid anyone back in your life. I sat up in bed, anger burning through exhaustion. You took my entire future for a wedding to a woman who's now leaving you. You let Mom and Dad choose you over me repeatedly. You called me selfish for having boundaries. Why would I help you now? Because I'm your brother. Because family. Don't. My voice cracked. Don't talk to me about family. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't enable. Family doesn't let one child sacrifice everything while the other takes everything. You want to know what family is? It's Grandma Pearl giving me emergency money. It's Dr. Reed mentoring me for free. It's me working 3 jobs so I could have what you got handed to you. That's family. Silence. Then quietly, so that's it? You're just gonna let me lose my kids. I'm going to let you experience consequences for once in your life. Joel told our parents I'd refused to help him. The fallout was nuclear. Mama called me crying, "How can you be so heartless? Those are your nieces. Don't you care that they might not have their father in their lives?" "Whose fault is that?" I asked calmly. I'd prepared for this. Years of therapy, paid for by me because I recognized the damage they'd done, had given me armor. Joel made choices. He married someone impulsively, had kids he couldn't afford, never built a career, and now he's facing consequences. That's not my fault, and it's not my responsibility. "We gave you everything," she shouted. "You gave Joel everything. You gave me expectations and disappointments." My voice stayed steady, clinical even. "I want you to really hear this because I'm only saying it once. I don't owe you or Joel anything. Not money, not time, not emotional labor. You chose him over me for years. I'm choosing myself now." Daddy called next, playing the guilt card. "You know how hard it's been for your brother. Black men in this country face enough without their own family turning on them. He made mistakes, but he's trying. Don't you want him to be a good father? Then he should try being one," I said. "That means getting a stable job, managing money responsibly, and handling his own divorce. I'm not his safety net because you never taught him to build one himself." The family fractured. Aunts and uncles took sides. Most blamed me, the successful one who'd abandoned her struggling brother. Some understood. Uncle Ray, Daddy's youngest brother who'd also been the scapegoat, called to say, "Proud of you, niece. They did to your brother what they did to your daddy, made him helpless. You broke the cycle." Grandma Pearl threw a dinner in my honor when I matched for my top residency choice, Cook County Hospital in Chicago. "Emergency medicine," she beamed. "Back home and saving lives. You did it, baby. You did it without them." That night I allowed myself to feel it, not just pride but freedom. Doreen's divorce went through. Joel got supervised visitation, child support he couldn't pay, and moved back in with our parents. He was 32, broken, finally understanding what life felt like without a safety net. I heard updates through Grandma Pearl, felt no satisfaction, just sad acknowledgement. He'd been set up to fail by people who loved him wrong. My residency was exactly what I needed: chaotic, meaningful, exhausting in the best way. I worked at the hospital 10 minutes from where I grew up, treating people from my old neighborhood. Mrs. Lowe came in once with chest pains. She was fine, just anxiety. She grabbed my hand. "Look at you, Dr. Simpson. I always knew you'd make it." 6 months into residency, Mama showed up at the hospital. I was on a rare break, drinking terrible coffee in the cafeteria. She looked older, tired. "Lucinda, can we talk?" Every instinct screamed to say no. But I'd become a doctor to help people, and maybe that included giving her 5 minutes. "Okay." She sat down, hands shaking. "Your daddy's sick. Diabetes complications. He needs surgery and our insurance is maxed out. We've been paying for Joel's legal fees and—" She trailed off, the ask hanging between us. "You want money." "I want my daughter back," she said, and for the first time in years, I saw her really look at me. "I know we failed you. I know we chose wrong over and over. I don't have excuses good enough. But you're all I have left who's making it, and I'm asking, not for money, baby. I'm asking if there's any way you can forgive us." I thought about the 17-year-old girl whose dreams got sold for a party. The college student working 3 jobs. The medical student too exhausted to cry. I thought about the doctor I'd become, not despite them but because they taught me I had to save myself. "I'm going to give you the information for charity care programs at this hospital," I said finally, my voice steady and professional. "They'll help with Daddy's bills based on income. I'll make sure his case gets reviewed fairly. And us. Our relationship." I finished my coffee, stood up. "Mama, I love you. But I don't trust you and I don't know if I ever will again. You showed me exactly where I ranked in this family. I can help you navigate the system as a doctor. But as a daughter. I paused. That girl died when you handed Joel my college fund. I'm someone else now. Someone you don't get to take from anymore. I walked away back to the year, back to saving lives. Behind me I heard her crying. I didn't turn around. Some wounds don't heal. Some family bonds once broken stay broken. And that's okay. Because I'd learned the hardest truth of all. Sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Sometimes family means the people who show up, not the ones who share your blood. I was Dr. Lucinda Simpson now. I'd earned every letter of that title. And no one, not Joel, not my parents, not anyone, could ever take that away from me. This story is a reminder that you are not obligated to save people who refuse to fight for you. Success isn't about revenge. It's about proving to yourself that you are always worth more than they made you believe.